Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Gopijana Balaba Girivaradari Yashoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Yamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Balaba Girivaradari Yashoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Oh Rama Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Shishula Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai Prem Sukha Hoshya Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Shri Radha Krishna Gopakapinath Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Shri Vrindavan Dham Mayapur Shetardham Ki Jai Shri Sri Valley Yatra Ki Jai All glory to the assembled devotees. All glory to the assembled devotees. All the glory to Tithi Guru and Gauranga. Gauranga. Narayanam Namaskrityam. Naram Chaiva Narottamam. Devim Sarasvatim Vyasam. Tojaya Mudirayat. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Idam Bhagavata Nama Puranam Brahma Samitam Uttama Shloka Charitam Chakaram Bhagavan Rishi Nishreya Shraya Lokasya Danyam Svasti Ayato Mahat Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we have one verse here, first canto, which is more or less a preface, right? It tells what is the purpose of this whole book. Under what circumstances is it being produced? Who's the teacher? Who's the audience? It's all in the first canto. Who's Sukadeva Goswami? Who's Maharaj Parikshit? Age of Kali is coming. Krishna is left for his own abode, accompanied by religion, knowledge, etc. We need a new incarnation. Okay. Then second canto, Sukadeva Goswami actually begins his preaching like that. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So in the process, in the first canto, in the first 3 chapters, we have one nice little module, Sutta to the Sages. Sutta to the Sages headed by Shonaka Rishi, Shonaka Adi, like that. And they ask very good questions, 6 questions. Anybody know one of the questions they ask? When? After Krishna has left. Yeah, okay. Another question?
What are the activities of different incarnations?
Yeah, what is the pastime, the purpose of different incarnations? Especially the incarnation of Krishna and Balaram. Maybe a third question. Another question? What is the highest welfare for all human beings? What is the essence of all the different scriptures? There are many scriptures, they're difficult to learn. So what is the essence of all these? And one more, which is kind of maybe combined.
For what purpose did Krishna take birth?
What's his purpose of Krishna's incarnation? But also the question is, what is the essence of all dharma? Which is also describing what is the highest welfare, like that. Prabhupada identifies one of the questions. And then the second, this is now the first question is being answered. But after that, he doesn't identify them, and he says 6, and I haven't seen the acharyas, so sometimes people analyze it this way, that way. But very good questions. So in the second chapter, basically, all their questions are answered. So you see that the acharyas and everybody, the whole second chapter is worth memorizing, the verses, everything else. What is dharma? What is the essence of dharma? What is jnana and vairagya, renunciation and knowledge? How do they relate to it? So the second chapter, very complete, like that. And you can memorize the entire thing. And then third chapter, he goes specifically listing the incarnations one after another, like that, so on, like that. So most of it is just like kind of leelas and pastimes, like that, and purposes. Then finishing off with the essence of all scriptures and the essence of all the incarnations is Srimad Bhagavatam. Idam Bhagavata Nama Puranam Brahma Samitam. It's the ripened fruit of the tree of Vedic literature. Krishna is incarnated as Srimad Bhagavatam. And then he said, and so then the sages say, well, okay, but Vyasadeva had already written so many other books. You're saying it's the supreme book, but he already written so many other books, and then, and his son was a self-realized soul, a liberated soul. He had nothing to aspire after, not even clothes, just wandering around, completely liberated like that. So why did he undertake this great endeavor to learn this big book? He learned this big thing, and learning means to learn it by memory, And why did Vyasadeva take all the effort to write it like that? So then the fourth chapter, then we have the whole history of how Vyasadeva got the impetus, and that was the meeting of Vyasadeva with Narada Muni. In the first, so chapter 4 is his anxiety about his situation, feeling what's wrong, and he's almost got it identified. This is very common. You got to kind of figure it out. Then you meet a guru, and the guru says, myself, I have an Ayurvedic guru, and he says, dal tastes like this to you, right? This, that, yeah. So then it's nothing new, but it's like he puts the finishing touch on it, clarifies it like that, and so on. Ayurveda is very intuitive. Same way, Narada Vyasadeva knew what his problem was. His problem was, what was Vyasadeva's problem? Everybody in the Bhagavatam has a problem. You should go through a whole list of all the problems in the Bhagavatam, all the fall downs. It's to show us. What was Vyasadeva's problem? Huh?
He was not happy even after writing Mahabharata and ethics and all the Vedas.
Well, why not? He said maybe it's because
He didn't
he explained it so indirectly that people would think that the whole purpose of religion was economic development, all this kind of stuff. That's just to give you a proper situation so you can really figure out about liberation. Dharmasya hiya pavargasya narto ritayo pakalpate nartasya dharmaya kantasya kama lobaya hismritaha. Like that. Dharma, artha, kama, moksha. They're all there, apavarga. The purpose of dharma, going to work on time, becoming a student, dressing properly, all this thing, that's our dharma now. We do that, is to get dharma. Why do you get a degree? For earning power, right? Yes, the reason. And why do you get the earning power? Dharma, artha. So you can attract a nice spouse to your taste, like that. Guy with a nice, he's got a big mustache and she's got a nice figure. Okay, this is Swayambhuva Manu and Sadarupa. Brahma was trying to figure out what to do here, and then Sadarupa and Swayambhuva Manu showed up, and he had a big mustache and she had a nice figure, and okay, that's okay, taken care of. Biological reproduction. Okay. So that's it, dharma, artha, kama, and you're sick and tired of it all. Moksha. Yeah, but you see that moksha in the beginning is a moksha based upon disgust with the material life. Done it all, everything else, tried it all. It's good, but it's just the beginning. Who's an example of somebody who was disgusted with his material life and just wanted to give it all up and walk out in the end? Huh? No, in the Bhagavatam here. Dhritarashtra. It's in the first canto here, right? Who's an example of somebody who was disgusted with his material life and wanted to just walk out on the whole thing in Shakespeare? No? Kind of, yeah. Who experienced the whole thing? He went through the whole thing. Macbeth. Hansaduta told us that Prabhupada said you can teach Shakespeare in the Gurukula if you want to understand word power. It's very good for preaching, because Western culture, people appreciate these things. It's part of their culture whether they know it or not, like that. And so then, so anyway, it's a very nice story. Lady Macbeth, she wanted to be queen. How many ladies should want to be queen? Every other women serving you, and it's natural feminine, passion, to become the foremost lady, And her husband was like, maybe second level aristocracy under the king, and very good friends. So she's got this. Her mind became exploited by this idea. The witch Maya entered into her mind, and so then she started thinking, "How can I do it? Well, I got to inspire my husband, to become the king." Okay, so she got a whole plot, and when his friend, the king, was visiting in their palace, staying there with his retinue, she said, "Well, we'll kill him, and then we'll pretend that somebody else did it and stuff, and then automatically you'll become the king and I'll become the queen." He didn't like it, but she was like, bamboozling him, like that we say in English, where that word comes from. So finally he said, "Oh, all right." She made it convincing. Actually, he's envious of you and he's afraid of you and he wants to kill you. "Oh, I didn't know that." I know. Okay. So finally, when the king was sleeping, they went in there and murdered him. And there's blood everywhere. They went back to their private accommodations, and in the morning they woke up, they found him, they came out just like Maharaj Chitraketu and the queens, right? They poisoned the baby, but when the baby was discovered poisoned, what did they do? They were all lamenting, "Oh, how terrible, who has done this horrible thing?" Oh, yeah. Little onion there, I keep a little onion there. Oh, yeah. So anyway, the king was dead, and they became king and queen. And it went on some time, but she was having all these psychological problems, because of her anxiety and Freudian guilt things. And then people were beginning to suspect what happened. So finally they raised an entire army headed by Macduff. Macduff, this is all Scotland. And he was going to lead the revolution against the king, But he had a benediction that he would remain king. His castle was named Dunsinore. That's where his castle was. And there was a forest down there, maybe like about maybe half a mile away or something, called Dunsinore, called Burnham Wood. And one great mystical guy said, "You will reign as king at Dunsinore until Burnham Wood comes to your door." And how long does it take for a forest to grow like that, So he was sure that he had the benediction that he'll be king for a long time. Hiranyakasipu, right? "I'll never die in the daytime or the nighttime." So anyway, all these things are lined up. It's just why Shakespeare was maybe one of the greatest authors in the history of the world. There he is. And you can change the whole thing also. You can change it from a king and a queen to the chief executive of some big corporation, and make it into a modern story. And just, people have done that. And, well, yeah, award-winning movies like that. Take Shakespeare's plays and characters and dialogues and stuff, and it's just, yeah. So anyway, okay, he was king there. But people are beginning to suspect what's happening. And so finally, the news is arriving. Well, yeah, they raised an army and they're coming to attack us. And meanwhile, his wife is starting to get more and more anxiety until finally she's having dreams at night and reenacting in her dreams, like walking around, sleepwalking, and going through the whole murder scene. And then she goes back, and if she has one drop of blood, she can't get it out. She's trying to wash out the drop of blood like that, And so the phrase is out, damn spot. You have heard this, out, damn spot, And all the serving girls were seeing this and wondering what's happening with Ronnie, and yeah. So getting more and more bizarre. I go through one. It's like the Bhagavatam. I'll go through one digression after another here. Finally, we'll get to the verse before the class ends. Yeah. So anyway, there was one famous lady, one actress, and she never got married. Brahmacharini, right? Yes, there's a famous American song called "I Wish I Was a Single Girl Again." Like that, okay? Like that. Brahmacharini Ashram Ki Jai. Yes. So she never got married, but she was an actress and very famous and very satisfied, with her career. So she actually retired just when movies were coming in. So she was a very famous stage actress. And there's only one clip of her. I mean, we maybe find it on the YouTube or something, So and she's sitting there like this, and she may be about like 58 or something, but looks like 41 or something like that, That was your Brahmacharini. Less anxiety, yeah. And so she's sitting there, and somebody from behind the camera, some director says, "Oh, Miss so-and-so, can you maybe just do something for the camera here? We can record." And she says, "All right, So she looks on the table. There's a hat there, and she puts it on, and she picks up some pieces of paper, some cardboard, and immediately she's an old lady, just like this whole thing, the demeanor, everything. This old lady, And she starts talking. Oh, these are some. My last vacation with my friend Florence and I, and we went to Africa, and this is a picture of us on a camel together, and this and that. She's going on, and she says, but actually, I don't. After that, my friend Florence, she left her body and went on like that. My friend Florence, and I haven't been traveling too much since then, because actually they say you can only see the world through the eyes of people you love, like that. So it's a matter of. I would say the whole thing lasts maybe 90 seconds. But in 90 seconds, she's created this old lady with character and dignity who's struggling alone now in her old age and stuff. And it's within 90 seconds, it's just like, she's got you, So she used to do legitimate stage theater. She used to do Shakespeare in New York. So she played Lady Macbeth. And when it came to this line, out, damn spot. Lady Macbeth, she did this murder, she got this position, she got all this stuff, now the reactions are coming. And so when she says this phrase, people would pass out in the audience. The anxiety and anguish was so intense that people in the audience would just lose consciousness, So her director was sitting there, lighten up a little bit. God, I got like... it's a theater, like that. You got to run the show like that, and so on, So this is what we're doing. I asked Jayaweda Maharaj. When I met him in Texas a few months ago, 1 month ago, and I said, so actually what we're doing is Gandharva Veda. Ayurveda is self-realization through medicine. Vastu Veda is self-realization through architecture. Danda Veda is... Yeah, the king has the danda, self-realization through political science. And then Gandharva Veda is? Yes, self-realization through music, dance, and drama. So I said, we're doing Gandharva Veda. And Jayaweda Maharaj said, So we passed the PhD program. But that's what we're doing. That's our yoga. Our yoga is Gandharva Veda, singing, dancing, and so on and so on. So that gives us access immediately to this whole tradition of theater. And we can take all these principles of theater and everything else like that and so on. So, Rupa Goswami, what is Rupa Goswami's greatest book? considered to be his greatest book. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, into his opus magnus, yeah, his greatest work. Yeah. But it's all based upon drama and theater, you know. And so we have a whole seminar we did for Radhadesh for the university there. We've also done it at universities, and we've also did it in what's that place? Texas, over like 1 week. Because in Radhadesh it was a 10-hour, it was 5 days, and the class time was 4 hours a day, so 20 hours, and then study time. And we broke it up then I think we did it over 2 weeks. Saturday, Sunday, and weeknights. We broke it up in Texas. And that was the start of their Bhakti Vaibhava program. Because after that, they got a taste for academically studying Prabhupada's books and intellectually reading them. And it changes your whole character. You learn something. The first level of smaranam is logical understanding. Jnana is the first level of smaranam. Shravanam, kirtanam, smaranam. But the first level is you understand everything. Do you understand? You understand what I'm saying? You got little boxes there. Yeah, this is okay. That's the first level of contemplating it, because you got it connected. Then it goes more intense. So it's very, very wonderful reading Prabhupada books in that way, intellectual way. So the Western tradition. I know of two translations of Bhakti, 2 full translations, verse by verse translations of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. One is by, David Haberman from the University of Indiana, I think, who people suggested took initiation from the Nimbarka Sampradaya to avoid being excommunicated. But devotees know him, and stuff, David Haberman and Bhanu Swami. And Bhanu Swami's big professor from India said it's very good. He said, because he didn't grow up in the culture, there's a couple things he missed, like that and stuff, which, just because you don't grow up in the ambience. But other than that, a beautiful translation, very good. And David Haberman's translation, which is also very good. But David Haberman has his introduction, which is really fantastic, because his introduction, he gives a summary of the whole book, which is very useful. You've got to look at it from several different angles. Bhanu Swami's summary, Prabhupada's summary, Danadhar Swami's summary, or Prabhupada's summary. Then you begin to understand what we're talking about. Like that, And actually, one devotee did a whole graphic of the whole thing blew it up like that, of the whole Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu with all the divisions and subdivisions. And you look at it, it's just like, now I understand Bhakti. Yes. My German mind is satisfied. That's why he did it. At that time, everybody was smartas. So you had to put everything in this terms of logical analysis. Okay? So, Bhanu Swami, so David Haberman has the political history of that time, and what's his name? Muhammad Ghori, and Babar, and Akbar, and all these people coming down there. And what was the whole preaching atmosphere in which Rupa Goswami existed, right? It was a whole atmosphere. Can we distribute books in the airports? Only with certain permission, everything else. Rupa Goswami was facing a certain environment, which will give you a reason to understand, why he wrote the book at that time in a certain way, and the politics and everything else like that. So very, very nice. And of course, it's at Western, it's university level, so he has to have his citations, his quotations like that. The second part then is a history of rasa, right? Rasa theory, Is science a matter of good taste? Depends, he says. What's one of the most scientific things, basic scientific things we're dealing with is Euclidean geometry. That's kind of like in some ways one of the basic things where children are entered into the whole process of rational thought, organizing. So Euclid's principles, I don't know how old they are, it's a nice question, but Euclid's principles must be thousands of years old, and they've stood there. And what is it? What does Euclid do? His geometry. What does geometry mean? Geometry. Measuring the earth. Yeah, so it's designed for that, which is what you can find, I'm sure, exact Vedic, discipline like that. So he has to create space. He has to deal with space. We're all trained in space. We think of a certain way in space, but children don't think that way. Yeah? For a child, the first thing a child acquires apparently is set theory. They break things into different groups. Mother's face always shows up at the same time as mother's breast. So they're connected. Oh, mother's face, milk. Yeah. Yeah. So set theory. Then they go into topology. What is topology? If you don't know the answer, your life is 1/3 wasted. You know what topology is. I guess in Spanish it would be the study of gophers. Topology. Only if you speak Spanish can you understand this. Topos? Topos are gophers in Spanish. Yes. Topology. It's rubber geometry, right? And topologically, a square and a circle are equal because you can stretch it like that, the boundaries. But two circles aren't equal. Yeah. So you go from set theory, sets, to topology. This is where babies develop their intelligence. Then at that point, it starts being culturally differentiated. At that point, Japanese babies go to polar geometry, right? A point with a ray of a certain distance and a certain angle. So you can define any point, 35 degrees, 5 inches from the axis. And in Western babies, industrialized Western babies, they go into rectilinear coordinates. X equals 5, Y equals 7. But you can either, they're interchangeable, the two sets. Like, maybe you studied this, right? How to translate from polar geometry to rectilinear geometry. But people see the world that way. We develop a certain kind of view. Japanese people tend to see everything in circles. They design that way. Their whole way of viewing and stuff, Yeah. So space, space is created by the mind. Everything else are perceptions, So somewhere here, back at Lady Macbeth, I got into that. Yeah. Theater, drama, Shakespeare, communication. Okay. So this is the story. So she goes nuts, so she commits suicide. Okay, now Macbeth is there. His wife has committed suicide. The person who inspired him to do the murder, and who was sharing the guilt with him, she's left him holding the bag. She's taken the easy way out and killed herself. Some army is coming up the hill, to attack him. On the one side, his followers are deserting him because they feel a moral responsibility. He's got his benediction, but then Macduff decides our army is a little bit smaller. So let's disguise the size of our army. To hide it, what we'll do is we'll cut branches from Burnham Wood, and our soldiers will advance behind the branches towards the forest. So somebody runs to the king and says, Burnham Wood has come to Dunsinore. Okay, Hiranyakasipu. Like that. It's not daytime, it's not nighttime, fella. It's not the air, it's not the land. Okay, Yeah. Okay. So all these things one after another. So then he has a very, very famous soliloquy, monologue by himself like that. It's good. All these things are great for preaching as devotees, I can't remember the whole thing. Of course, it's a test for an actor to be able to get up there and play this part and stuff like that and so on. But it's a perfect example of Dhira. Dhira, Dhritarashtra, the same thing of what a Dhira is, why people renounce this world. So he's sitting there, it's evening before the battle, or the morning, and there's candles in his room, and he says, out, brief candle. Life is but a tale told by an idiot, a poor actor who struts and frets his hour upon the stage, full of sound and fury, full of signifying nothing, full of sound and fury. He struts and frets his hour upon the stage to be heard no more. Life is a tale told by an idiot, signifying nothing. Wind blow, storm crack, lightning. At least we'll die with armor on our back. Right? Dhira, right? Dhritarashtra, same thing. Dhritarashtra had his whole life, he'd done so many stupid things, everything else. So in the end, Vidura convinced him, just give it up and walk out. Don't tell anybody where you're going, don't seek any comfort, you just turn your back on all of your failures and walk out like an honest hero, like that. So what is this called in Sanskrit? He didn't become Narottam. He didn't become a first-class sannyasi of the Vaishnava, but he became Dhira. Yeah. So usually what mukti means, dharma, artha, Kama, moksha. But what kind of moksha? Dhira, disgusted with all his material life, everything else, all his activities, everything else. So yeah. And then Dhira is a good platform for becoming a Vaishnava. Becoming a Vaishnava like that. So different people on different levels. And we have to be able to preach to them on their level. So some people, they can appreciate that, life is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. Then of course it's like, the guy blows the candle out like that. Very intense communicating thing about what is life, who are we, so on like that. So it's the Bhagavatam, the first canto, first chapter is the questions by the sages. The second chapter, the answer to all these questions about dharma, artha, kama, moksha. This is the Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam is the extract of all the Vedas. All the Vedic wisdom is there in the Bhagavatam. It brings it all together. The Vedas discuss dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Everybody discusses it. Yukta vairagya and jnana. Like that. So then, why did he write it? The impetus is there, right? Because he met Narada Muni, and Narada Muni told him, everything you've written is you're right. And actually, Buddha's going to have to come along and just minimize everything you wrote. Because people are going to think that the whole purpose of religion, dharma is for artha, for kama, for maybe later on when you get old, somehow or other, There's a movie by Robin Williams. It was called What Dreams May Come. He got an award-winning movie. It's all about Pitriloka. So you want to talk to people about Pitriloka. Oh yeah, Robin Williams movie. He dies, he goes someplace, and he meets the dog who died, he meets his kids who died, he meets his wife, and then the ancestors. It's this Pitriloka level. So as he's getting oriented in this place, he asked his guide, he said, well, where's God in all of this? And his guide says, he's up there, somewhere up there, trying to tell us that he loves us and wondering why we can't listen. Like that. So Robert Williams goes, oh yeah, okay, well where's my wife? Like that. This is exactly what Vyasadeva did. Skanda Purana, you do this, you do that, you get jewels, you get wives, you get a husband and wife to live for, a lady will live a long life with her children and her husband with her, and you become an associate of Ram. But it's so small, that it's so indirect, it's there. You can support our philosophy on all the Puranas, it's there, but it's so de-emphasized that practically speaking, nobody can figure out, what it's talking about. The purpose of religion seems to be have nice families, so and so in your next lifetime, you're going to go to heaven. You see so many Christian books, right? They have their idea of heaven on them. I remember one, it was Jehovah's Witness, thing like that. And there was heaven, picture, painting. They're nice, they're personal people. What was there? Right? There was one black guy, one brown guy, one Indian guy, one black guy, one Chinese guy. Everybody else was white. I'm sorry, but that's the demographics of heaven. Most people are white. I have a suspicion that their magazine Awake, when they sell it in Africa, is a different demographic, and the pictures are different. But at least in America, it was like, okay, we got a black guy there, we got a Chinese guy, there was also somebody, But mostly it's white people, mostly white people, And they were outside having a barbecue like that in heaven. There was a nice suburban house with a television antenna on top, And this is heaven. Grandma was there. It was really kind of Pitriloka idea. But two people were very conspicuous by their absence. Very conspicuous, if you're looking for them, by their absence in this picture. God and Jesus. One of them were in heaven. It's like, But it was idea was Pitriloka again, very prominent. That's what people are thinking. I'll meet I really miss my grandmother and stuff, and I loved her so much, and really is sad and stuff, and this and that. And that's what If you're more civilized, uncivilized people, they want to see the television antenna on top, uncivilized people. But civilized people have personal relationships. They miss these people, So this is at very different levels of realization. So then he tells him, and this is not gonna work, and you made a mistake. And so now what you should do, right, is write the Bhagavatam, directly glorifying Krishna. Then you'll feel satisfied. So in this very, very beautiful section, we haven't got time for it, of Narada's instructions to Vyasadeva, it's so big. I was trying to learn everything from Prabhupada's books, everything else, the letter books, room conversations, all these things. When you stack them up in one pile at one time, it's really impressive. We have a whole presentation called the Bhaktivedanta Library. It's a PowerPoint show. But with devotees who have the books, you can start bringing them in. Isopanishad, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhakti Nectar of Devotion, Nectar of Instruction, Light of the Bhagavat, Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, Srimad Bhagavatam lectures, Bhagavad Gita lectures, room conversations, letter books. You stack them all there. It's just, Yes, I remember one time, I always remember, I think it was here, we were doing a home program like this, and there was some guests, and I said, and some people say, Prabhupada didn't give you everything. So one boy in the audience, this new guy, he said, thank God. It's just like, if you look at it physically in front of you, it's just, Prabhupada says, no disciple can take everything the spiritual master has to offer. Another time he said, even in 100 years, you cannot read all these books thoroughly. So we have to have an overview, idea, perspective, and we have to find out what is practical for us, for our goals. How many people here want to die? Raise your hand. Okay. Today? I'll tell you a little story, fellow. Madame Mohan told me this. He was a Gurukula teacher a long time ago when they first started the Gurukula in Central California, in Vaishyalia or wherever it was. Had his kids. And one morning he asked the kids, they'd be like, 7, 8 years old, how many people are ready to die and go to Krishna? And only one little kid who was a real good student and everything else, a nice devotee, raised his hand. Okay, so they went out playing, and they went go to some place where they would play. It has a waterfall and stuff. It was Saturday. And they went up there, and some of the kids were like pushing this big rock, and it came loose and came right down the hill. Wham, wham, wham. Hit this kid on the head like that. And he went over there, and he ran over there, and he saw like he had a little, bruise in the side of his head, and he was lying on a rock, but the other half of his face was missing like that. It's just chopped his head right off like that and stuff, Then he was running back to get some help or something. The boy's father's coming. He said, "Where's my son?" He said, "There's been an accident," like that. So then he remembered that this morning, this boy had said, "I'm ready to go today." You said it. Are you ready? Yeah, you really are. Yeah. Okay. Oh, you did it. Okay. I'm not. Have you? How many times have you come close to death? Huh?
At least once I remember.
Yeah?
I remember at least once, very close.
Yeah, were you ready then? No terror, no fear?
I was actually excited.
Excited?
Yeah, it was kind of adventurous.
Yeah, it's adventurous in the beginning, but as it starts to get a little closer sometimes, you start to begin to change your mind. First off, they take away your job. Okay, yeah. Then they take away your family. Okay. Then they take away your face. Hey! Then they take away the air, one after another. Yeah, as we go in the beginning, but we don't know what death is, how deep it is. So in the beginning, sometimes it's interesting, it's exciting, it's renunciation, but then we start to penetrate. It starts to panic, so on. So anyway, this is the whole process, becoming ready, to serve Krishna. Really, we got to get rid of this body, everything else like that, so on. So this verse is part of this very beautiful recitations, and we cannot possibly study the whole Bhagavatam, and everything, all of Prabhupada's books like that in one lifetime, in 100 years. So get an overview. Find out what's important for you, right? And for most of us, we have a brain in our head, we figure out we got to, mukti, we got to get liberated. The Bhagavatam starts from that. You got to get off this bodily concept. You got to get away from the snake bird, And once you get to that platform, then you can start to understand more subtle details, so on. So yeah, practical release from suffering, practical harmony in our lives, then practical, development of bhava like that. So Prabhupada's books, so unlimited. But find your relationship. Your relationship with Prabhupada's books is your relationship with Prabhupada's lotus feet. Yeah, if you go to Mayapur or Vrindavan, Prabhupada's big Murti is there. You want to look at Prabhupada's lotus feet. You can't see them. Why? Because there's something in front of them. What? Prabhupada's books. Yeah. So you want to see Prabhupada's lotus feet? Yeah, this is the way to do it. And everybody has a different relationship. Some people are ready for Chaitanya Charitamrita. Somebody, everybody's different, so on. So here, beautiful instructions from Narada to Vyasa about what is reality, and to go on Sankirtan, right? That's the conclusion. Every single time somebody got a problem, Krishna sends a guru. He explains Srimad Bhagavatam, top, beginning, up and down. Any questions? You ask them questions. Any more questions? No. Now you go on Sankirtan. That's the conclusion of almost all these different dialogues, is go out and preach. Not always, but very often. So here, definitely that's the conclusion. Now you should preach, right? And he has his own way of preaching, his own manner of distributing the knowledge and stuff like that. He learned like that and so on. Okay, so there's one verse here. Since it's a Bhagavatam class, we should do a verse. So Swarup Damodar Maharaj told me that this verse by Narada to Vyasa, that Prabhupada wrote the purport especially for preaching to the material scientists. Okay? Idam hi pungsas tapasa shutasya va. Idam hi pumsas tapasa shutasya va. Svistasya suktasya cha bodhidatayaho. Avichutartha kavibir nirupito. Yadutama shloka gunanuvarnanam. Boliega. Avichuddha kavivirupito. Yaduttama shloka gunanuvarnanam. Idam hi pumsas tapasa shutasya va. Svistasya suktasya cha buddhidatayo. Yaduttama shloka gunanuvarnanam. Idam hi pumsas tapasa shutasya va. Svistasya suktasya cha buddhidatayo. Avichutartha kavibir nirupito. Yaduttama shloka gunanuvarnanam. Idam. This. What? What this? Probably this Bhagavatam. He ciertamente. What is this in Spanish? Pumsa of everyone. Tapasa by dint of austerities. Shutasya by dint of studying of the Vedas. Va or svistasya sacrifice. Suktasya spiritual education. Cha and buddhi culture of knowledge. Datayaho charity. Abhichutta infallible. Abhichutta artaha interest. Kabibir by the recognized learned persons. Nirupitaha concluded. Yat by what? Oh, sorry, what? Uttama shloka the Lord who is described by choice poetry. Guna anuvarnanam, description of the transcendental qualities of. Learned circles have positively concluded, this is Prabhupada's translation, that the infallible purpose of the advancement of knowledge. Now here, grammatically, it sounds like what follows is the infallible purpose of the advancement of knowledge, but it's not. It's what it should be, the advancement of knowledge, comma, what is, okay. Now, what is the how do we advance our knowledge? That's what it's talking about. Learned circles have positively concluded the infallible purpose of the advancement of knowledge, namely, austerities, study of the Vedas, sacrifice, chanting of hymns, and charity culminates in transcendental descriptions of the Lord, who is defined in choice poetry. So how do we learn? So we're giving a whole symposium at the end of July, in case you want to attend. It's very, very highly elevated conference. North American Conference on Education with ISKCON, sponsored by the ISKCON Ministry of Education, the North American Institute for Oriental and Classical Studies, and ISKCON Houston, like that. 4 or 5 days there. 4 days? 4 days. It's the second time we did it. And one section, this is a question of what is knowledge? What do we try to do? One section is K through 12, like that, one section, in Sunday school, yeah. That includes day schools, and there's 5 of them in ISKCON now in North America. Supplementary educational programs like Sunday school and Gita camps, and homeschooling. That's how we're attacking, ISKCON's attacking kindergarten through 12th grade. Another section is in higher education, university education, and that breaks down into studying in the university, teaching in the university, and teaching the teachers. yeah. And the other one is Shastric education. We're breaking those 3 areas just for some analysis. Yeah. So, what is the purpose of education? What is the goal? It's chapter 15 Bhagavad Gita. Yeah. And here is how do we learn, right? We learn in the West by memorizing things, right? By learning logic, But here it says that we learn by, austerities. You acquire knowledge, whatever knowledge is, by austerities, by study of the Vedas. Okay. By sacrifice, by chanting of hymns and charity, like that. And what's the conclusion? All this acquirement of knowledge culminates in transcendental descriptions of the Lord, who is? Who is he? The person defined by choice poetry. It's a very interesting way of defining what is education. If you look in the Encyclopedia Britannica, it's accepted by, you can quote that in academic circles, and they accept that it's a, bona fide source. Although they want to know who wrote the article many times. But yeah, Britannica is accepted for like these university preaching and stuff. I pay $51 a year, to be a member, which is kind of interesting in terms of marketing our books. The Britannica has one article on the philosophy of education, right? And it says that since the time of Socrates, even though different educators have disagreed about, different things, basically almost everybody has agreed that an educated person is somebody who's learned how to reason. So basically jnana, not just like memorizing things, kind of like karma, let's do it, but learning logic and reason like that, grammar, these kind of things, and collecting it like that. So educated person is somebody who's got rational intelligence and organizing his thoughts, and learn how to do that. So jnana. But above that is introspection, meditation, contemplation, dhyan. And that's taught in the Department of Dramatic Arts. Like that. Yeah. And some universities also teach us how to be creative, how to be intuitive, how to be insightful. And it's a very high university that does that. It has techniques of stimulating the students to be able to get in touch with their meditative abilities, to contemplate things like that. 1 and 1 is 2, right? That's arithmetic, okay? 2x minus 1 is 9. What is x? 2x minus 1 equals 9. That's algebra. 5, yeah. Algebra requires contemplation. You got to put everything in so it's correct, but you can't come to a conclusion right away. So in Western thought, it was a whole change in the global thought thinking process to go from arithmetic to algebra. The idea of, suspended judgment. Suspended judgment. It's a whole thing, how it developed in the West like that and so on. So this is meditation, jhana. Our japa has to come to this, our service. Then after that, bhakti, so on. So this is the purpose. Purpose of all this education is to come to the point of glorifying Krishna. Human intellect is developed for advancement of learning in art, science. Human intellect is developed for advancement of learning in art, science, philosophy, physics, chemistry, psychology, economics, politics, etc. So again, Prabhupada wrote this for university preaching. He says you can print these separately. You can print these separately and use them in the universities and stuff like that. By culture of such knowledge, the human society can attain the perfection of life. Okay, so we want to do this. We want to cultivate chemistry, physics, art, what else we got? Yeah, philosophy, psychology. This perfection of life culminates in the realization of the Supreme Being, Jehovah. Okay? The Shruti therefore directs that those who are actually advanced in learning should aspire for the service of Lord Vishnu. Unfortunately, persons who are enamored by the external beauty of Vishnu Maya do not understand that culmination of perfection or self-realization depends on Vishnu. Vishnu Maya means sense enjoyment, which is transient and miserable. Those who are entrapped by Vishnu Maya utilize advancement of knowledge for sense enjoyment. Narada Muni has explained that all paraphernalia of the cosmic universe is but an emanation from the Lord out of his different energies, because the Lord has set in motion by his inconceivable energy the actions and reactions of the created manifestation. They have come to be out of his energy. They rest on his energy, and after annihilation, they merge into his energy. Nothing is therefore different from him, but at the same time, the Lord is always different from them. When advancement of knowledge is applied in the service of the Lord, the whole process becomes absolute. The personality of Godhead and his transcendental name, fame, glory, what's the difference between those two, etc., are all non-different from him. The subject matter of art, science, philosophy, physics, chemistry, psychology, and all other branches of knowledge should be wholly and solely applied in the service of the Lord. Art, literature, poetry, painting, etc. may be used in glorifying the Lord. The fiction writers, poets, and celebrated litterateurs are generally engaged in writing of sensuous subject matters. But if they turn towards the service of the Lord, they can describe the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. Valmiki was a great poet. Similarly, Vyasadeva is a great writer. And both of them have absolutely engaged themselves in delineating the transcendental activities of the Lord, and by so doing have become immortal. Similarly, science and philosophy should be applied in the service of the Lord. There is no use in presenting dry, speculative theories for sense gratification. Philosophy and science should be engaged in establishing the glory of the Lord. Advanced people are eager to understand the absolute truth through the medium of science, and therefore a great scientist should endeavor to prove the existence of the Lord on a scientific basis. Similarly, philosophical speculation should be utilized to establish the supreme truth as sentient and all-powerful. Similarly, all other branches of knowledge should always be engaged in the service of the Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita also the same is affirmed. All knowledge not engaged in the service of the Lord is but nescience. Real utilization of advanced knowledge is to establish the glories of the Lord, and that is the real import. Scientific knowledge engaged in the service of the Lord and all similar activities are factually Hari Kirtan, or glorification of the Lord. Right? So that's the purpose. Prabhupada's books, right? We should distribute them. We should study them, to find our relationship with Krishna, to find our preaching techniques. We have to learn, we have to preach, we have to be purified, we have to be full of energy. And the books actually distribute themselves, like that. So when we're that way. Otherwise, there's so many tricks and techniques and stuff. But this is just I got the book out, but we got the money in, but yeah, if I don't, at the end of the day, you don't feel satisfied, like Vyasadeva. But if actually there's some contact and the person you see, this guy's going to become a book distributor, like that. I got something really heavy across to him, cultivation. So, books are the basis. Bhaktivedanta Library. Any questions or comments at this point? Koi prashna hai? You all ready to go on Sankirtan now? You all ready to take sannyas? Yes, sir. Hanji. Okay.
Thank you, Maharaj, for nice class.
Yeah.
I read one of the Prabhupada's quote, or I think it was in a letter to the devotees who were doing university preaching, that it would be very nice, I don't remember the exact word, that there should be a course on science of soul in every university. What are your thoughts on this, and how we should go about it, or are there devotees doing that, like a proper official course?
It's interesting because you challenge people, you say, oh, there's no courses on what is life at the university. So what are they going to respond?
Well, what kind of course would you make?
Huh?
How would you make such a course?
Or else they can say, no, we already have courses on life. In fact, we have an entire department for it. You didn't know this? It's called the science of life. Biology. One biologist, one conference we went to, one lady, she said her professor was like a PhD, it's like a Nobel laureate candidate or something in biology. And she said when she was studying biology with him, she said, you always remembered that biology is the science of life, but nobody kills more creatures than biologists. He said it was the most ironic thing, bizarre, But that's the thing, so that's right away, it's a question of whether or not, and it's a whole philosophical thing like that. But they already have, within biology, you might put it there, or else you might put it in philosophy, But that's the whole thing. You start to get into the university environment and what's happening. Rabindra Swarup gives a nice example in terms of preaching in different atmospheres. Like somebody comes from the jungle in the Amazon and he sees people there in Rio de Janeiro playing tennis, He watches for some time, like that. And he says, come here, guys. No, come here. If you take the net down, it'll be a lot easier. So they beat on the guy and chase him away, so on, Yeah. So if you go to the preachers, you've got to understand, what is the atmosphere? Who are the authorities? What is the logic? What are the rules of the game? Like that. We don't talk about this. We don't deal with that area. We're calling it biology, but we don't. That's actually a part of philosophy. Well, actually, we're philosophers. That's a part of theology. And we don't have a department of theology in this school. Go to Oxford. Yeah. So that's the whole thing about how to introduce our ideas into the universities and everything else like that and so on. And of course, the devotee Damodar was becoming a chaplain. There's different ways to do it. So Damodar was introducing our ideas into Arabic countries. He went to Arabic countries. One of the last things I was with him, he did. But how can you talk about Hindu philosophy in Saudi Arabia and places like that? Legally, they can kill you. If you're preaching any philosophy other than Islam, they won't do it. But legally, they can kill you for doing it. What to speak of just different coming and closing your program. So he went on the basis of euthanasia. He actually took a course at the University Medical Center in San Francisco on euthanasia for doctors and got all the academic background, the perspective. Like euthanasia means mercy killing. So then you can talk about it in terms of the Quran. Does the Quran permit euthanasia? I don't know. You find out. My suspicion it does, that you can take your life under certain circumstances. Does our Hindu religion permit euthanasia? Killing yourself? Is it permitted for girls? Sati. Yeah. Under what circumstances is it permitted? Is sati permitted? Nowadays, of course, it's illegal. But what was the Vedic circumstance? That the girl's suffering. She's suffering so much that it's worse than death. Her separation from her husband, because when she was 11 years old, she was what do we say, going steady, compromised. Put her husband's picture on the altar with her teddy bears, you know. Yeah, so the connection is unbelievable. It's a psychological, it's not even a psychological connection, there's a real connection. So time of death, when the husband dies, you're suffering, you know, it's just, people say, okay, go ahead, just, you leave your body. We see it's be cruel, you know. And what else? More recently, in our tradition, did Prabhupada commit suicide? He stopped taking water, stopped taking food. In the end, yeah, they could have done some medical intervention, but he didn't let them. So, certain sense, Raghunath Das Goswami, he committed suicide. When the Goswamis left, he was just living on, when Rupa Goswami left, he was just living on milk, and the Sanatana Goswami left living on water, went blind, and left his body finally, you know. Yeah, so he committed suicide. Yeah. So it's a whole question. So beings of a very then, okay, now we can discuss the topic. You know, like that. We put it in the right, within their atmosphere, within their language, like that. That's the whole thing, to meet people, find out what are their authorities, what is their language, what conceptions they have. And for that, different people have to know different things from the Bhagavatam. In my Bhagavatam class, it's going to be different than somebody else's Bhagavatam class. You know? But this is our tool, this is our means of conquest. And so many different things coming from that. Oh. The Fernsprecher.
Dandavats Maharaj. Maharaj, in this purport, like we say, Srila Prabhupada has mentioned that the goal of all the sciences, sciences and philosophy should be to establish the supremacy of Lord.
Glorify Him.
Glorifying the Lord.
First He exists, and after He exists, then what does He look like?
Right. Actually, this probably is one of the criticisms of the atheists, or even the mainstream, even like you said, the university philosophers, because the criticism is that the conclusion is already made and you are doing the study to establish the conclusion.
Yeah.
Whereas, as per them, the study should actually be exploratory and the conclusion should then be arrived at. They accuse us of putting the horse before the cart.
No, the cart before the horse.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. So how do you think we can actually refute such criticism?
Well, one real quick answer is that well, if what you're doing is original, then why do you call it research? Yeah, research. Yeah. Because yeah. And another thing is what is the basic scientific method as created by Sir Francis Bacon, or one of the two Bacons there, like that, two Bacons. Sir Francis Bacon. What is it? What's the basic thing? Yeah, hypothesis, right? Experiment, result, conclusion. So they're starting with the same thing. Scientific method means you start with some theory. No? Yeah. So that's it. It's right at the very beginning, like that and stuff. Yeah. And then the thing is, well, where do the hypothesi? It's a plural word. Where do the hypothesi come from? And it's actually a whole thing called ars arvendas, which is like trying to generate some scientific method to create the hypothesis is always a failure. Yeah. The hypotheses usually come from some kind of inspiration, like that, or else, based on previous experiment, then they stimulate something. But everybody knows, nobody will agree, they'll accept this. Yeah, that usually there's these insightful moments, these things and big things, or something happens in nature, an apple falls on Sir Newton's head and he starts to think about gravity, Yeah, that the hypotheses aren't coming from just like results and so on. Yeah, it's tied in, evolution, scientific knowledge is tied into evolution, evolutionary theory. That knowledge is also evolving, and then and so on. There's a real philosophical basis to what they're doing, and half the time it's really weird, and they don't know what it is themselves. They're concerned with long-term funding and an interesting problem. You give me those two things, a little prestige, so I can impress my wife and my girlfriends and stuff. Okay, I'm a scientist. Oh, really? Yes, I'm a scientist. Big brains, like that. Oh, really? Okay. You take me to dinner? I'll take you to dinner. Yes, okay. So it's some glamour, some profit, adoration, distinction, long-term funding, and some intellectually interesting problem. You must say that's what basically most people who call themselves scientists. But some people, they think more deeply. about these whole things about what can we know and what is nature. And why is science killing so many people? Why do we always are stuck with this thing that science is 60% of all funding from science is coming from the military? Why is it basically most scientists are working to kill other people, which their work is going down to. Most software engineers are working to produce faster transfer of dirty pictures, right? Yes, that's what you're working for. I'm sorry to tell you. or money. When the money is meant for gambling and pornography on the internet, right? And so we got to get these things across faster. So what are you? Cyber pimp. Okay. Yeah. You start getting down to it. Yeah. So you start thinking about things. Well, why am I working? What am I doing? Take care of my family. Let's promote a passion. What a goodness will you start thinking. And then you start getting deeper and deeper motivations. And like Dr. Jayawala, he was just changing his job, looking for a different job. Finally he found something more satisfying, more profound, what he was doing. So every field you can do it. You can work for different companies and stuff. Yeah. But that's it. We're it's always there. Everybody is born needing advice. It's not that that babies are scientists, investigating life. No, every child needs to be told what to do. Even Carl Jung, the person that we're working on now, he said nobody is born tabula rasa, a blank slate. Babies are born with a whole background of how they think about life and what's going to go on like that. Everybody sees that. So, yes, sir. Hanji. Yes. Pass the microphone. Da-da. The whole world is watching.
I mean, assuming we did have an opportunity of presenting the science of the soul, at a university or something like that, like how, do we even have could we present that in terms that they would accept?
Los norteamericanos son muy cuadráticos. You speak Spanish? Oh, okay, yeah. Los norteamericanos son muy cuadráticos. Yeah, because I go to South America following Winston Churchill's strategy of winning World War II. Yeah. North Americans are blockheads. Los norteamericanos son muy cuadráticos. Yeah. Our culture, if you want to understand the culture, the predominant culture in the United States, according to sociologists and everything else, is Northern German. The Northern German mentality is what has been looking at everything else. The American Indians, when they saw all this stuff coming, they said, the iron horse, the talking wire. Yeah. So American Indians, Ben DeLorean, nice guy, he said, your people have always been very good metal workers. Yeah. What is the high-tech semiconductor industry? It's high-tech metal work, right? Same thing. How to do all this magic with metal, make go horses and make We accept it. No, it's not the only reality. So very Northern German mentality, which is very cut, very mechanical. German devotees I know, and at university, they all say this thing. They would rather read Prabhupada's books in English than German. They say German is such an analytical language that it loses. Things are human. You don't chop them up like that. Chakravarti was Hansadutta's leader there. I forget what it was. Mother Dina Sharna's husband. He was in Berkeley there with us, and he was Hansadutta's commander-in-chief guy when he was doing all his big programs in Germany. So he took charge of the gift store in Berkeley, and he painted everything black and white. The whole gift store inside, you walk in, everything was black and white, And I walked in and said, Chakravarti, this is strange. And he said, I see, laughing. He said, for Germans, there are just two colors, black and white, and sometimes red. Like that, yeah, okay. So this is so preaching Krishna consciousness in North America, in the universities. When Prabhupada came, it was a very special time. It was tremendously influenced by Oriental philosophy. And in my studies and research, I would say that Carl Jung was responsible, about 70% responsible for creating the atmosphere that Prabhupada was able to preach in, where he had the mind is real, there is reincarnation, India is an important part of this puzzle, like that. And from him, Abby Hoffman and everybody else were just echoing his ideas, you know. So we're trying to preach in this area right now. It's good results. So, but in South America, we have more results. You can go right in the universities. You know, in Mexico, you can go right into the schools. You ask the professor, history class in history. We have some nice books and this and that. Can we talk to your students a few minutes about it? Oh, where do you go? Yeah, maybe I'll take one. Yeah, I'll go talk to them. So you can go right into the schools many times and just different, but many times. You know, if you do it, you know how to do it, and the people, you know, they buy the books and stuff. You know, so different atmosphere. You know? But of course, the thing is, when a German takes this up, a German takes it up. Whereas a Mexican takes it up, he takes it up. Yeah, you know, it's just different atmosphere. You know, yeah. I was told in Germany in the temple, everybody has their assigned line for chanting japa. Okay, when you chant japa, this will be your line. Okay, like that, you know. Kapila, he was Hansudutta's, one of Hansudutta's Sankirtan leaders. He said he'd gone off from, you know, joined the Hare Krishna movement in Germany. He hadn't been home for like, you know, for like 5 years, 7 years. And he came back in his one town, and his father was a big contractor there, you know, good money. So the bottom floor was the kitchen, dining room, second floor was his parents' bedroom, the third floor was his sister's and his bedroom. He got home kind of late at night, and he said, okay, we'll see you all tomorrow morning. It's so good to see you back now finally, you know. Heard about your traveling to India, you know. So he said next morning he got up early and started chanting his rounds in the morning, like back and forth like he always did. You know, you get it done. You just jam it out, you know, like that. You don't go back to sleep, you know. You know. So he said he came down for breakfast, because his parents' room were below his room. He said, you know, I said, my son, I heard you up there doing your Hare Krishna thing. He said, I don't know what you're doing with this Hare Krishna movement, but at least you're doing it like a German. Yes. So everybody, it's just, yeah, we need. Hansuddutta said that French people make the best pujaris. Yeah, French devotees make the best pujaris. You know, it's like that. No, you see this. I mean, I know some pujaris, exactly, they have Brother Shamasur, they would perfume after they would dress them, they would spray the perfume on them and stuff, you know. Italian devotees make the best cooks, yeah. German devotees make the best temple commanders, but he said they're not, cunning enough to be temple presidents. Temple president, you got to be kind of two-faced or three-faced or four-faced, and that's why they defeat the Germans. They beat the Germans with espionage, not with war. Yeah. The English. Yeah. Americans were just stupid, simple guys. Cowboys, peanut butter, and spacemen was America. Good time. Innovation, fair play. Yeah. See, there's something about it. Yeah. It's okay? Yeah. Sankirtan. Yeah. How to get the books out. Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Sorry I'm late, Maharaj. Comcast came to my door at 7:30 to fix my internet.
Oh my God, priorities.
And they weren't able to do it.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Anyway,
Amazing. Yeah.
So I'm also not wearing T-lock, so
Yeah.
I feel bad about that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I did listen in the car on the way over here. And can you clear up the suicide comment? I understand what you're saying, that by deciding to stop drinking water and eating, that is basically saying suicide. But I think it needs to be clarified for other people that might be listening, because even in my own mind, and maybe in minds here sitting, to say that Srila Prabhupada committed suicide sounds offensive, actually.
Yeah.
So
but actually,
Prabhupada
actually said that. Actually, he said that himself. He said, my father did the same thing. He said, actually, I'm committing suicide. It was, you know.
No, I don't.
Prabhupada said that one time. He was asking the whole thing about eating and everything else, and this, Prabhupada, you can't live just on this. And Prabhupada said, yeah, actually, I am committing suicide. Okay. He said, my father did the same thing at a certain point. It was too difficult, and so he just started like that, and so on. Yeah.
But suicide has such a bad name.
Yeah, in terms of that, that's the whole point of discussing this point. Yeah, but in general, yeah, if we commit suicide inappropriately and everything else, then you become a ghost. You don't get free from the reaction. You just suffer with all the fears and anxieties and everything else, and have to come back and take care of it again. So it doesn't really solve the problem at all, like that, suicide normally, So Prabhupada more appropriately might just say, he said that one time, but more appropriately might be to say, just let his body go. He didn't artificially maintain it. Because, very simply, they could have, drained the urine from his bladder. That's what killed him. In the end, the doctor said it wasn't draining urine, wasn't draining properly, and he would have inserted something and drained it. He said he'll live at least for 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 more hours at least. But they said probably didn't want that. And so then the rising urine then poisoned the organs. He died. Yeah. There's a whole thing too. Life support. Somebody's on life support. Somebody can stay on there for years. No consciousness, right? Yeah. And they may have a thing in there, right, in their clause, in their thing, which living will, which says if I'm on life support and this and that, therefore so, and I want to be disconnected. So that's suicide. It's a nice topic for preaching. It's nice to meet people and you can discuss it. Of course, one guy was in life support system for what? It was many years, and he came back. 3 years. Hey, what's happening? Yeah. So, yeah.
Sometimes they drown themselves in the Ganges sanctuary.
Yeah. So many of our acharyas, like Narottam, other people like that, same with separation. Vishnu Bhagavatam Das Goswami was going to jump off Govardhan and commit suicide, he said. I will enter into fire, I'll smash my heads against the rocks, and so on.
Yeah. Murari Gupta as well.
Yeah.
Murari Gupta.
Yeah. I'm going to point one thing just real quick then. So in terms of let me introduce one second here. What we're doing, we have a couple of different preaching programs, and one of them is the North American Institute for Oriental and Classical Studies. That's the name of our Sankirtan party. The North American Institute for Oriental and Classical Studies. And we've been trying to develop the same kind of preaching. I got into this through Swarup Damodar Maharaj, was my nature. And we're doing these programs and preaching at that level. But my nature is not hard science. It's more like, actually, if I'd gone on and got a diploma, I probably would have become like in cultural anthropology, like that, or become a lawyer or something like that, so on. So anyway, but then, so we've been developing also this preaching. We've been doing science programs in South America, science and the Vedas. And what I've been specifically working on myself very much now is Carl Jung, with Prabhupada said amongst all the Western philosophers, he seemed to have the most sense, like that. And it's a fact. People still following him, still schools of psychoanalysis. If you have to go to a psychologist, you can find a Jungian psychologist. They're much more sane and reasonable, and they can help you with problems you have with your mind. So they very active journals and many things going on. So we've been gradually getting involved with them and meeting them and preaching them. And we're meeting very nice people and getting the ideas across very nicely. We've Nobel laureate Umberto Maturana in Chile. You met him through this. Raul Zurit, the poet laureate, you met him. Many places like that, just being able to meet nice people and stuff. And this matter just going on like that, the preaching. So the most recent thing we did also, this is more on the endological side. We just released this book, our third book, Bharata Sanskriti, and this was a program we did on the importance of early Indian culture in making a better world, like that, And it has things in architecture, medicine, and especially philosophy, literature, poetry, social philosophy, like that. And we co-sponsored it with the Indian Museum over 3 days, about 2 years ago, and finally edited everything. And now we're this is the only copy I have, but we're going to be doing this. And this, of course, it's for a certain kind of people. It's for Indologists and people like that and stuff. But if you meet someone like that, okay, we're at the Berkeley Temple on Wednesday, and one Bengali family was there. The guy they came just to see the deities. Their children brought them. They're visiting. But he heard about this, and it was, it was like, where? Somewhere, So he wanted to see the book. And he said his impression is, he said, I never knew ISKCON did things like this. Yeah, we do. You got any more books? Okay. So all kinds of literature for all kinds of people. All kinds of books. All you're doing is this is for you. Children's books, social stories. All the Bhagavatam stories could be made into very modern stories. People couldn't put them down like that. The pregnancy of Diti in the evening. Make it into a modern story. Yeah. The other thing, look at this. My book bag here. Only have 2 books, but they're big. So we're doing that, and we'll be here tomorrow. We'll be back we're going to go to Sacramento. We'll be back for the Sunday feast tomorrow, and then Monday, Tuesday we'll be here. And anybody's interested in this kind of work we're doing, the kind of preaching, well, please let us know, and we can all work together on it. And the other thing is, of course, internally is, which goes right into Carl Jung, it's all connected, is Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And we were teaching that, I said, at Radha Dash and other places. So the course we've developed, of course, is based upon Nectar of Devotion, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And it goes ahead, because Bhakti Shastri, you cover the eastern part. Eastern part? The basic summary of, what's it called? No, what's the very first wave is called what? Samanya Bhakti. General principles. Who can become a devotee? What is Bhakti? These kind of things. Then it goes into Sadhana Bhakti, Bhava Bhakti, Prema Bhakti. It's a summary. And of course the emphasis is on Samanya Bhakti and Vaidhi Bhakti. And then the southern part is Bhava Bhakti, but great detail. And the western part is Prema Bhakti. Prema Bhakti, but the 5 primary rasas. The northern part is Prema Bhakti, but mixing mellows like that. So it's very scientific. And as you study it, it makes everything very clear. So what we have, course we have is basically like an introduction at the university level, using David Haberman's discussion. And you can see, it's a fact, everything we're doing comes out of the drama tradition. Bharata Muni is the great acharya for drama in India, and everybody's followed him, including Rupa Goswami. Maybe like 2nd century BC. First written thing from him, the first copy we have of his work is really the 2nd century AD. So you know, very nice, just reading these people like David Haberman and stuff. He's nice, he's a friendly devotee, friendly person. Prabhupada's perspective, you can take great advantage of these things. Okay, so then he goes, that history, and it goes to Abhinava Gupta, who was a Kashmiri Shaiva Brahmin, on down to Danda, and then Emperor Bhoja, who was a very famous guy. You know Bhoja Dev? Yeah, famous guy. He did so many things, architecture, but also drama. And he was describing what is the essence, what is the communication. So for Aristotle, who's the Western Acharya, the essence of the drama was the plot, right? Some Manipuri boy's sister gets kidnapped by evil Burmese drug lords. So he gets some friends together and they decide to go to Burma and rescue his sister and blow up the evil Burmese drug factory. Okay, that's the plot. You know, title of the movie is Kung Fu Killers of Hare Krishna Mountain. You know, these ways to get our message across. This will attract a certain kind of people like that, you know. Kung Fu Killers of Hare Krishna Mountain. Well, yeah, okay, I got to get that one. What's going on? You know. So okay, this guy is there, and they go evil Burmese guys. You know. So that was the plot. That's what Aristotle said is the essence of the drama is the plot. Bharata Muni said the essence of the drama is the bhava, yeah, the sentiment, the perspective. How do you say Krishna consciousness? How do you say ISKCON in Hindi? Yeah, Antarastrika Sri Krishna Bhavanamrita Sangha. So what is consciousness in there? Bhavanamrita. Yeah, so we're talking about is bhava. What is bhava? Oh, that was a big question. Yes, like asking, what is love? Okay, what is bhava? Goswami tried to define it. What is bhava? Come on now, you're all Hare Krishna devotees. You ISKCON devotees don't know anything. You should follow our guru, Prabhupada's godbrother. He taught us more. But one of Prabhupada's godbrothers said these ISKCON devotees don't even know the definition of bhakti. So a devotee was there and said, well, Maharaj, you know, Anyabilasita Shunyam. He said, oh, you know it. Oh, okay. Got to become educated. Got to join Srivas Pandit's course here. What is bhava? Yeah. When the seed becomes a tree, becomes a flower, becomes a little apple, now we know what it is. It's not a peach, it's not a mango, it's a little apple. It's immature. You can't relish it. So only bhava is the immature stage of prema. That's all it is. It's prema, but immature. So different things stimulate it. Vibhava, anubhava, sattvika bhava. It's a different yoga at that level. And maybe we're coming to that point where we're starting to take advantage of these things, understand them, appreciate them. You know, coming our Vaidhis becoming, we got liberated. Now we should start to understand how it works, why it's not working. You know, bhava, okay. And so then, that was the essence of the drama for Bharata Muni, is that people, it's also the beginning, it's also attitude, intelligence, perspective, how you look at things, right? You got female consciousness, women's liberation consciousness, okay? Women's liberation consciousness, okay? Or you got war consciousness, right? Or money consciousness, right? Or what do they preach in the Silicon Valley? What kind of consciousness should you have? Success? Success? Yeah. Promotion consciousness? Is that what it is? Yeah. Huh? Yeah, of course there's sub-bhavas. There's the main bhava, the main rasa, the sub-rasas, the secondary rasas.
Patent consciousness.
Huh?
Patent consciousness. Patent consciousness.
Patent? Patent, okay, patent consciousness, yeah. Okay, yeah. So that's what he said, the essence of the drama is to communicate a certain bhava, a certain experience. The person, when they finish the drama, they become somebody else. You come out of there, it's changed your perspective, or it's touched your perspective. It's stimulated your perspective like that. So all of our Western tradition, traveling with our Manipuri group for so long, you can see that's what Narottam was doing. That's what the Manipuris were doing. That's what Lord Chaitanya was doing. You have to come to bhava in your japa, everything else. Not just doing it, not understanding what you're doing, but actually entering into bhava and then finally prema, like that and so on. So theater is one way of doing that. It's the best way in some ways. So Rupa Goswami describing, Bharata Muni describes vibhava, anubhava, the actors, abhinayas, the properties in the scenery, the dialogue. These all produce a reaction in the audience. Vibhava, anubhava, and sattvika bhava. Sattvika bhava is what comes right from the soul, like crying or trembling. It's not can't control it, but chanting and singing and dancing, that requires some intelligence. So it's called sattvika bhava, vibhava, like that. Yeah. And then there's so many other things, how it all combines together. So it comes down through Western tradition also. They have their tradition through Konstantin Stanislavski. And so all the theater you see, most of the theater you see now is coming through Stanislavski and Viola Spoland, right? And the Neil Paul Sills. That's all the training now that actors get in their yoga. An actor does his job with three things. The same as a sannyasi. That's his job. Exactly. So you analyze this. The first part of this book, Improvisation for the Theater, is a theory of drama. What's the purpose? What are we trying to do? How do we do it? How do we do bhakti yoga? How do we do our Gandharva Veda? So many things are useful for devotees. The second part is all games. Just by playing games, you can learn all these skills, right? And very intense programs. So for devotees, this is very natural. Natural dramas, theaters. Lord Chaitanya was always arranging them. The Silicon Valley should start producing, right? ISKCON Silicon Valley producing fantastic movies, fantastic dramas. If you have good Sunday feast dramas, I've seen that in Berkeley. Temple fills up. Everything else. Shakespeare had something for everybody. He had something for the king and the queen. He had something for the intellectuals. He had something for the slapstick, for the ground people. That's why he was a good playwright. It wasn't always he was being philosophical. Some stuff was just like stupid jokes that it got things across. Everybody was watching this stuff. So drama is, get it all across at once. The Bhagavatam is full of dramas, one after another, stories, and Lord Chaitanya would act them out. So it's a very, very nice other way, everything we're developing too, some interest. We did the seminar in Texas over 2 weeks, like that, and so on, Bhakti by Bhava. And so that, this is, and then of course with this, and of course it's very easy to go then to universities then also. If you want to introduce our ideas, several times in universities now we're teaching this in the drama department. Because almost every single big university, obviously every single big university has a drama department, and then they almost always have a history of world theater. And they'll go through it, almost always they'll include Kalidas. But you go and you show them, we're basing this upon Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu of David Haberman, and then of course we have Konstantin Stanislavski and Viola Spolin. Oh, okay, yeah. You can teach our graduate students. Tell us what you want to know. And then he takes it into life. Oh, so it's a very, very nice bridge then. Because many people in theater, they're looking for this, especially now. Many people in theater, they're looking for, some people make money. Okay, I do a dog food commercial, I get $7,000. Okay, did my dog food commercial, horrible, But many people in theater, art, and drama, they're there because they have something which they want to touch, something higher. So, any final, yes sir. And then finally, tomorrow, we have this big symposium on education in Texas. Anybody wants to know about that?
Oh, there's-
Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu?
I actually didn't have a question. I had more of a comment.
Okay.
Dayanidhi Prabhu, when he talked about the suicide, of course the word has a Western connotation. But if you're thinking about Chaitanya Dev, he walked into Jagannath Dev, which is actually the sea that he walked into. So can you just maybe comment on that, Maharaj?
No, just to get this context, I could see that it could be taken the wrong way. That, we think of suicide, some people, as very gross activity, and usually it happens because they're sinful. And they're suffering because of this reason or that reason and stuff, and so they kill themselves, or in debt and everything else like that. So it's usually has a connotation of somebody who's leaving because of failure and stuff like that. They can't handle what they're doing, But on the other side, is that euthanasia. Let's give it a different name. Let's give it a different name here, Euthanasia is the whole topic. But it's a fact. Just try to talk about it now. Is that in our tradition? I don't know. We can go through the list there. Rupa and Sanatana. I guess they Lord Chaitanya, Uddhava also wanted to leave his body, right? But Krishna said, "You stay. There's nobody. Please, I'm begging you to stay behind because there's no one to protect the devotees but you." So he stayed. Narottam, right? Everybody was gone. Of course, Narottam has one song all about this, right? Yega Nilo Premadana. He says, "I'll smash my head on the rocks. I'll enter into fire and separation from these people." So why didn't he leave? What was the straw that broke the camel's back? What was the thing that actually pushed Narottam to finally to suicide?
That of his friend Ramchandra.
Yeah, Ramachandra. He had one godbrother with whom he could talk about the Goswamis and everything else. That was giving him enough solace and stuff to stay. But when he lost that, he lost his dear godbrother. Couldn't handle it anymore. Yeah. Okay. We did it. Yeah.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
So my question is...
Oh my goodness, okay.
Loud, yeah.
Yeah.
So when the devotees from the different level like Kanishta or Madhyama, Uttamadhikari, is that the one they attain perfections directly? Do the devotees who are in the platform of either Kanishta or Madhyama, Uttamadhikari, they attain the perfection, the final perfection of going back to Godhead, or they have to be promoted from the level from Kanishta, Madhyama to Uttama, then only they are eligible to qualify to Golak Vrindavan?
No, well, it's all a matter of realization. Because the basic thing is we're watching a movie, totally absorbed, what's happening. Wait until dark. It's a really interesting movie with Audrey Hepburn. This evil guy gets killed and everybody in the movie, it's a really intense movie. And I was in college, I went there one time watching it. And so so she's a blind girl, and this whole thing is evil guy is trying to do all this stuff. So finally she's able to kill the guy, and she's crawling across the room, half burned alive or something, trying to escape, and the guy's dead. And this at the moment, the guy's not dead. And he jumps up and grabs her leg, and everybody in the theater, I just also, myself, just, So the next time I saw it again for some reason, and I was watching everybody in the theater when it happened like that, and the entire audience went up about this much. The entire audience just went up like that much and stuff. So that's what's happening. We're absorbed in this drama. We're absorbed in this puppet show, the puppet show. So Kanista Adhikari, Majjhima Adhikari, Uttama Adhikari means how much we're becoming detached from this absorption and beginning to wake up to where we actually are. Right? We're sitting in a movie theater with Krishna watching this movie like that, and finally we begin to realize that there's something besides the movie screen. Oh yeah, there's something besides the movie screen like that, so on, So I got to act properly in terms of that. Then we begin to realize, I'm sitting with somebody. Yeah, my friend, who's that? Oh yeah. Oh, it's Krishna, Yeah. So, Kanista Adhikari Majjhima Uttama means how much we're waking up. And there's no difference between devotional service and the kingdom of God. So Goloka Vrindavan means it's a matter of consciousness. Yeah. So we do go from Kanista to Majjhima to Uttama and then to become a pure devotee, again, purified. So we have to go through these stages. That's what we do go through. Yeah. But of course, people can make different jumps and something. Somebody externally may be a neophyte devotee, like that, but because of previous lifetime, they may have great faith in the holy names and everything else. But they don't know the rules, they don't know the regulations, they can't go on the altar, they can't take second initiation. But actually they're more advanced than this duly initiated second initiated devotee. And maybe they're already on the level of a sannyasi in terms of their contact with the super soul, everything else. Yeah. But they need, they just have to, to go through it. So externally, Kanishta Adhikari, internally, Uttama Adhikari. Yeah. 1, 2,
Thank you.
Yeah, okay, think nothing of it.
Maharaj, another question on when we are speaking to the people at university or the scientists, it eventually comes to two things, the origin of life and the origin of the universe.
Okay, why not? Yeah.
And here actually the views are diametrically opposite. So could you suggest some ways in which actually a dialogue can be had with them, where they can see
one thing you do, you start associating with these people. So for example, we're in Tennessee and there's a university there, so I look and see do you have any interesting lectures. It's good, you just go to them. One was by Jay Lenoff, something like that. And he was one of the leaders of the American Academy of Science, which is the official American institution for science. And he was there because it's a teacher training college. And they want to get all the teachers to preach evolution in their classrooms in biology, and they're not always doing it. So he was there, and he was saying that something maybe 11 years ago, they discovered they had to do a survey. How was the universe created? How was life created? And so 17% of the people said it was created by science, by evolution. Maybe 15% said it was created by God. Okay, and all the rest didn't give a damn. Yeah, for most people, who cares? How was the universe created? I don't know. So can you get what kind of pizza is there in the frozen pizza thing? Like that. What kind of movies can I pick up? Have I got time to change my tires during my lunch break? Yeah, that's something most people didn't really care. And so they okay. So anyway, so they decided as scientists they were going to have this big campaign to educate people about evolution. So after about 9 years of hard effort in the schools and everything else, it came back, they changed it maybe by 1%. People now believe more that evolutionary theory and less in, star creation. But even science has changed. It's changed a lot because of our preaching. And they're actually softening up in terms of, other things like that and stuff. So they aren't so much hard like that. One kind of, for example, there's a American scientist. There's Scientific American, it's still being published, isn't it? Yeah, some German company bought it some years ago. There's another magazine called American Scientist. You know that one? It's published by Sigma Xi. It's the oldest engineering and science fraternity in America. They have over 140,000 members or something like that. To become a member, you got to be recommended. This guy did this research project, he did this engineering thing. Okay, so it's so they're journalists called American Scientists. So it's a good journal, So anyway, in they're talking about how in the beginning ecology was considered soft thinking, not real science, but now they're seeing, looking at things in these different angles actually is valid. And science isn't the only way to know things. This guy from the American Academy of Science, he said, I went like this, Chester, I was in the audience, looking at me, big theater, 2 deans there. So anyway, he said, well, science is not the only way to know things. There are also other ways. He actually did that. He actually kind of wiped away a little bit of a tear there. He said, science is not the only way to know things. We accept that. There are other ways to know things too. Wow. So that's kind of like we say that after all these years of work, it's come to that where people, they have a little bit of human feelings, sentiment, and stuff, and you can talk to them about things, But his whole thing was we have to change our approach. We have to start teaching science within the liberal arts. He said, same thing Prabhupada says, that science is now, what the scientists say is accepted as revealed knowledge. The priest says that God has revealed to us this and that. The scientist has revealed to us this and that. And Prabhupada says exactly the same thing. For the layman, it doesn't matter. They accept some authority. So he said we have to show them how we're coming to those conclusions. You have to communicate to them, so then they get faith in the importance of science and that kind of stuff, so on. So that's the current ambience you know. And then many people, usually the people that are real fanatical are not intelligent, and so they're Kanista Adhikaris. Kanista Adhikari Muslim, Kanista Adhikari Hare Krishna, Kanista Adhikari Christian, Kanista Adhikari scientist. Science is their faith and stuff, and it's based upon a very not a good, like, you know, basis of what they're doing or anything else. But you start getting more educated people in science, and then that's the point. They're willing to discuss ideas, but you can't like tell them to take the net down. You got to put it in terms of their language and their ideas and stuff, and different introducing it and so on. You know, in South America we've had much more, you know, success like that and so on. You know? So, but in terms of the people, the main thing, I think, so many things. There's a way to do it. Wow, because everybody's different. You know, Prabhupada would talk about these same subjects, different people, different ways. So the main thing you have to do is really just kind of find out what the guy's idea is. You know? And if he really doesn't give a damn about what science at all really is, that's just religion. I'm a Christian, I'm a Muslim. Well, I'm a Muslim, I'm a Christian. Okay, so you go your way, I go my way. You know, here's I want a book on Krishna consciousness. Well, I'm a Christian. You know, like that. You know? So, okay, you know what you're dealing with. Yeah. So okay, then maybe you get some idea across. Maybe you can't. Okay, well, thank you very much. Okay, and we're Hare Krishnas. Okay, well, you're Hare Krishna. Okay, it's okay. You can be Hare Krishna. I'll be a Christian. Okay, yeah. So on. Yeah. So maybe some people. Then what's the preaching then? On that level. Prasadam. Yeah. Before that, one thing before that is Prabhupada's formula for preaching in the universities. First thing is nice reception. Beautiful building, nice, a very pretty girl, well-dressed, receives you, Mr. Nobel laureate and Sir Eccles and Lady Eccles, it's good to see you, please come in, let me take your hat and coat here. You know, nice building, a nice area with wooden walls. The other people are sitting next to the fire with the Irish setter drinking beverages before dinner, please go in. You know, you know, my kind of people, my kind of opulence, my kind of clothes, you know. When you're preaching to truckers, what do you do? Hey, fella. or Germans, you know? Yeah, everybody's got, I've seen dogs preaching to dogs. I mean, really, the dog barking at the other dog, and you get the other dog to join the kirtan party. You know? The dog enjoying like that. You know? Really, you know? So first thing, if people are just Kanista Adhikari people, then you're not going to get much across intellectually. So the first thing is to have a very nice, so they feel properly received and respected in what they're saying, what they're doing. And then the next thing, you've got to understand the atmosphere at that point. Then the next thing is after that, then you say nice prasad. And then after that, for about 2 hours, you can talk philosophy. Right? Then you need more prasad. Yeah. So, but every 2 hours you give them prasad, and then they become more intelligent. Yeah. But that's the basic formula. It's nice reception. Come to an Indian festival. It's culture of India. Elephants. You know, girls in saris, acrobats. You know, with jugglers. Oh yeah, India. Food, dance, music. Yeah. And then they become attracted. They become purified. But then the intellectual level, then is the thing is that Prabhupada was always beating on this point of evolution, and so you develop your own, you know, flaws. You know, I don't know if I can go on here or not. I don't know. Evolution, from my point of view, because then there are people that get into the technical problems, like Rasaraj. Rasaraj is more in the, I think more not so much the technical problems, but other chemists and stuff. They get into the actual problems. I have one disciple just graduated from Oxford, and he's all fired up to go out and kill everybody, you know, because he knows, you know, well, once you know the DNA sequencing, you can produce life. No. Yeah, so-and-so citation. Because it's not only a matter of the sequence, but it's also the location on the rotation and stuff like that too. So what causes that location and rotation? You know, okay, yeah. So there are devotees that know this, and they argue at that level with these guys of like the machine level. You know? But everybody's different. I'm a psychologist, everything else. So I look at it more from there's a fundamental problem with evolution and the origin of life, evolution. Okay. Evolution says that by chance, we're getting variety. You can even take it back farther than that. What is the beginning for them? What is their beginning? In this evolutionary theory, where does it all start?
The single-celled
Huh?
The single-celled.
No. Before that, evolution was going on before one-celled animals. Huh? The primordial soup, he says. Okay. Yeah. Before that, they also have evolution. Yeah, evolution of the chemical elements. So the original thing, as far as last Sariputta was saying, because originally Fred Hoyle called it the chunk. And the chunk blew up, and the chunk did this and that. But it's not a very distinguished name, for your God and your forefather is the chunk, So now I'm sorry. Hey, chunk, how's it going? I'm not the chunk anymore. Sorry, what are you? I'm the singularity. Oh, wow, the singularity. Okay, singularity. Oh, singularity. Oh, singularity. Yes. I mean, that's Krishna. You say, oh, Radha singularity. Oh, Radha singularity. It's okay. The singularity has no mass, no weight, no pressure. There's nothing else, no environment. Okay, so this is the first problem. And this is the same thing with the Brahman. Because somebody else's idea of the Brahman effulgence is the cause of every problems. Because if there's no environment, no anything else, why did the singularity change? Huh? There's no reason. This is the same. The Brahman is undifferentiated. There's not this. Okay, it's the same problem. It's the same problem. Okay, that's the first problem. Okay, well, forget that. Let's forget that. Okay, okay, all right, forget it. Then the next thing is what causes the change? Change come about because of
Time.
Huh?
Time.
Might say time, yeah, or chance. Okay, chance, right? There's a chance, just like this and that. Some chance changes in the genetic structure. That's the second point you can beat on them on. Nobel laureate was his name, womanizer, Bertrand Russell. Yeah, he said that. These are connected. These things. He said the most important idea in the 20th century is the idea of chance, because nobody has the slightest idea of what it means. Look in the dictionary. It's a French word which means it just happened. It means nothing. Why? Because there were chance permutations, right? Chance permutations. It means nothing. It says because permutations happen. Why? Well, we just no, but by chance. It's not an explanation. There's no explanation there.
They usually resort to the theory of probability.
Yes, and probability is based upon a random event. What is a random event? A random event is an event, look in any textbook, a random event is an event, the outcome of which cannot be predicted. Neti, not this. It's not being caused by that, it's not being caused by this, it's not being caused by that, it's not being... Again, this is you can beat on it philosophically, but there's no real motivation in there for anything. First off, it has no enemies. The second place, the cause of your change is saying we don't know what the cause of the change is. Yeah, that's our whole system of development. Okay, your system of development is developing because you don't know why. Okay, let's go ahead next problem. Okay, now where's it going? Well, because it's being selected by nature. Natural selection, right? Random changes, which then produce different kinds of forms which survive because they fit. Survival of the fittest, right? Okay, what do they fit? What do they fit? Nature. They fit nature. Right? So that means within nature, if we're going to talk about evolution, there already is
a pattern,
an ideal, a pattern. But why do we say that? Why is it we see that nature is just not changing? Now it's this way, now it's that way. Today she selects this, tomorrow she selects that. Today she selects this, today she selects that. We accept natural selection. We accept that. In different environment, different species will live and that kind of stuff. Okay, it goes on like that. But evolution says there's a hierarchy and it's getting better. It's not just that today nature is selecting this and she changes and selects something else. Darwin also accepted this was a problem. For Darwin, evolution was not a progression towards a hierarchy. This is from an article from the University of Miami and published in American Scientist. Darwin was not talking about evolution as being a development of hierarchy. Evolution was the product of natural selection. That's all it was. It wasn't like a thing that says better. And of course the highest species is human beings, and therefore we can annihilate everybody else. And then we go to the next step, which is even more interesting. This is called social Darwinism. Social Darwinism. The different societies, now we produce societies, and these societies fight, and those that can survive are the ones who have a right to survive. And there's one guy, I forgot his name, famous biologist, Haeckel. He was presenting this as a biological idea, as social Darwinism. Then one politician took it over and made a political party out of it. His name was a German guy, his name was Adolf Schicklgruber, and he changed his name and became prime minister and called himself Adolf Hitler. Yeah. Ideas cause hell. Bad ideas cause unbelievable. How many millions of people died. I mean, if you saw even a little bit of war, nobody in this room could probably, without vomiting, a tiny piece of what that idea did. Good idea. Yeah. So this is like my perspective on it. You got to develop your own logic. Is that fundamentally it's a flawed system. You start to get into the mechanisms. Go on to YouTube. What's the biggest proponent? Most famous proponent now of evolution?
Dawkins.
Richard Dawkins. Yeah, he's the lead biologist and very famous guy, good biologist. He wrote a book called The God Delusion.
Selfish gene. The
God Delusion, yeah. And then the head theologian, who has our arguments now coming indirectly from our Sampradaya, he wrote a book called The Dawkins Delusion. This is at Oxford. When they pass on the campus, they go, Dawkins, Graf, British, keep everything proper, we're going to kill you, So anyway, his book was, he then analyzed Dawkins' arguments in terms of evolution from a theological point of view. And he said, now he's dealing with theology. He's not dealing with biology. As a biologist, I have all respect for him. I do sincerely. But he's come into an area which is not his field. And he used our arguments to demolish him. He didn't go beyond Paramatma. Prabhupada says, don't go beyond the Paramatma. And he did the same thing. He didn't go to God. He said, God's a very nice issue, but it's not discussing here. We're just going to talk about some controlling, organizing intelligence, which is actively taking a part in the universe, like that. So at the current level, and then they asked one time, because we asked one scientist, YouTube, they asked one Indian scientist coming out of his car, he said, all these permutations, they usually, did they produce more information? New species with an eyeball or something. He said, no. He said, practically almost always, and you could even really say always, that these mutations produce something with less form, less intelligence, like that, less information, like that. And maybe it'll survive. Maybe it's better not to have hair, okay, like that and so on. So then there's an interview, he cut to this guy interviewing Dawkins, and he says, Professor Dawkins, do you know of any cases where a mutation produced more information? Now Dawkins is a genius in biology. You see on the video going, and he changes the subject and doesn't answer the question like that. So even he accepted. So you get into the mechanism itself. The mechanism itself doesn't support it. Yeah. Okay, let me find one final question here. Yes, sir. Yes, the ultimate question, comment. We can talk more afterwards. We'll be back on Sunday. Kadasi Vrata Ki Jai.
So on the topic of suicide,
Talking about what?
Topic of suicide.
Suicide, yeah, okay.
In our Vaishnava line, if you don't understand the prema, then you take a wrong meaning of suicide, because the emotions are so high that body life itself really is a speck somewhere compared to the vastness of the emotions that one feels for Krishna.
Yeah.
So if that context is not put in place, then suicide seems to be like a common thing which is so gross outside seems to be common in Vaishnava line.
Yeah.
That's one aspect. And the second aspect is, did Bhishma commit suicide?
Bhishma?
Yes, he did. Because he had a life to live as long as he wanted.
Oh, yeah. He chose to die.
Yes.
He died. It was a very, very interesting story.
Right.
He chose to die for certain reasons. And also because, what's his name? Dhritarashtra also. How we go through the whole list here, almost everybody in Mahabharata committed suicide. Yeah.
So the point is that in the body, those who are in the gross bodily platform, for them suicide seems to be a crime, but for those who are spiritually advanced, giving up the body is not a big issue for a higher cause or a higher purpose. So that can be construed as good suicide.
Natural. The point is, suicide, you're saying the suicide, the way we use the word contextually, I'm not sure what the origin of the word is. It means like inappropriately taking your life to avoid facing problems, facing pain, facing financial problems, facing emotional problems, things like that. But that's not what we're talking about. It means naturally letting the body go when it's time. When the soul starts to wake up, and then there's prema starts to manifest. And right now the body's very big. It's all I see. Okay. Then it starts to see some things. Maybe there is spiritual life. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe like that. Then there is spiritual life and stuff. But I got a lot of material attachments still, Prabhu. And after a time, it's like, well, where's my body? I haven't eaten for 5 days. Oh, I'm dead. But yeah, that's what happens. It just naturally. But if Krishna wants us to use it, then we have a relationship with it. The gopis exist in 3 levels of consciousness. They're good girls. They perform their duties in society properly. Okay, they milk cows. That, pretty much. Then they have their own community of friends whom they talk. They hear Krishna's flute. They go on milking the cows, and they start talking to each other confidentially. Where's Krishna? What's happening? This is when they're. And the 3rd level is that they have their own individual, unique relationship with Krishna. Oh, Krishna was with me last night. He made that song up, when we were together. Maybe he's thinking of me now. So same way, we exist in society. We're ISKCON devotees. We have our own community within ISKCON. And finally, our own individual relationship, with Krishna. And that's the point. So if we have to be on good society, okay, we take care of our body. But it says that the gopis, even because they remember their own relationship with Krishna, they couldn't even carry on amongst their friends exactly, clearly, so on. Yeah. So wait a minute. 1, 2. I guess it's not the last question. Yes, Prabhu? Yeah. Yeah. Giving up the body.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah.
So I just want to give my opinion on that suicide point.
Okay.
Whatever he said, as this getting to the point. So suicide, in terms of even Vaishnava, so in Bhishma or anyone, if it's not something like suicide. So suicide is something like what I think is not something, not anyone. What I think is suicide is something like I can take my body out, I'm going to die. It's not something like Vaishnava wants to do. So Vaishnava, even Bhishma, he didn't say I can take my body. What he said, Krishna, please take my soul out of it. Please, I want to get down now. So I don't want to fight. So it is not something like suicide. Suicide is something like, okay, I'm taking my body out. Okay, I have the power to do that. I don't think Bhishma or anyone, Vaishnava, who wants to take the body out on them power. They want their body out, that soul out with the help of Paramatma.
Yeah.
So I think that...
No, that's what we're saying.
It's not the word suicide.
The word suicide, the way the contextual meaning is, not facing up to real problems and escaping. But in Vaishnava, it's leaving the body, when Krishna wants, so on. Yeah.
And on that point, Maharaj,
Oh, it's okay. Yeah.
and Sanatan Goswami wanted to commit suicide. He said, my body is useless. Now I just want to. And Mahaprabhu said, if I could do that, I would give up my body millions of times for Krishna.
Yeah.
But so there is the contextual meaning is very important, not just the word in of itself or the regular
The only reason I brought it up was because
it's good you brought it.
No, it was just that it makes a very, very good preaching platform. You see, many people wake up from this topic. Another topic is divorce. For example, you put a poster up with Light of the Bhagavat with the lightning flashes in the clouds, and you say, divorce, the feminine element. Right away, you're going to get some people stopping us to read this poster like that. And stuff. And then you bring some sociologists, some ladies, and they're talking about the perspective and what responsibility women have and how women report. The main thing is to generate, advertising, the first thing is to generate interest and dialogue. Then after that, then people are awake and you can start to talk about, maybe come to some conclusions like that and stuff and so on. Okay.
Dadichi also, he committed suicide.
Huh? Oh, God. Suicide. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, just one more thing. I was just curious about, to what extent can we utilize reason and argument, just kind of in Krishna consciousness, as opposed to just strictly taking things from Shabda Praman, I mean, to some extent, we have to rely on our senses, our vision. Even just to read Bhagavatam, you need glasses or something maybe, and but you could use the same thing, just another magnification to maybe like look at the moon, for instance. Maybe you don't see things the way that you would expect to see it in Bhagavatam or something like that. So to what extent? I mean, can our central information kind of refine our understanding of the scripture? I mean, it seems like Newton kind of had that concept, like trying to refine his idea of God,
through nature.
Yeah, through kind of understanding nature. So is there some scope for that in Krishna consciousness?
Yeah. Maya tatam idam sarvam jagadavyakta murtina matstani sarvabhutani nachahami sutasataha. Prabhupada quotes that quite often. Maya everything is being pervaded by me. And so Prabhupada says Krishna consciousness doesn't mean to limit ourselves in any way. It means to see everything properly. How? By the advice of the acharya, a guru. So the answer to your question is by staying in the association of devotees and experienced devotees. And I want to do something in this area, or being an experienced devotee. And you know how things work. And people, you go out, someone says, I want to distribute books like on the street, in this mall, and this and that. I say, well, come I'll help you, Or I want to do this and that, I don't know how to do it. Okay, I'll learn from you. So basically, yes, guru. We can use them if we have proper guidance. That's the main thing. And the guidance then specifically, is Prabhupada told some people to quit the university, get out. Damodar Maharshi wouldn't let him get out. He wanted to quit. He saw different people are in different positions and need different things. So we can use different amounts of knowledge and everything else, I mean, you can be Parthasarthi, ended up in Iraq. He couldn't escape it, So he had to have a really good knowledge of warfare and fighting and everything else like that. Probably he knows more ways to kill people than any of us ever would need to know. Like that and so on, But somebody else cooking, somebody else something else. And so you should, it's yukta vairagya. If you want to use everything for Krishna, you start where you are. That's what, I'm here, I'm working for this company, I got this job, I got this situation. That's it. Now, Chad Hari Krishna, 16 good rounds in the morning, read Prabhupada's books, and then you begin to see how to adjust the situation. And maybe you don't have to change your job. But you have to change the way you look at it, make it more and more profound. Then, of course, there's no limit, to how much you can use reason and argument. Do you think does Lalita use argument? Lalita Devi? And then she makes the most outrageous arguments when Krishna is just like about to, kill her. She gives all these arguments like that to Krishna about this and that. And he's trying to argue with her, and she comes up with all these insane, outrageous arguments and stuff like that and so on. So the gopis are also using reason and argument, but for them, it's all a matter of how it fits into the prema. The main one principle is if you have some service you can do it, rather than engaging in speculation or that kind of stuff. But speculation and so on fits as part of the program, as a service, and one of our things we do. Hanuman is glorifying Angada, for being the prince, crown prince, everything else. He says, you have good intelligence. And he gives 6 symptoms of intelligence, and I think four of them are all based on hearing. Your first symptom is intelligence is you can hear, right? The second symptom is you can understand what you've heard, right? The third symptom is you can evaluate the importance of what you've heard. And the 5th symptom is you can then apply it in a proper fashion. So almost every single one of them is based upon hearing. And it's the same thing. How do you learn? You read some books, you go to some class, everything else, and then you use some intelligence to apply it. Yeah. But then Prabhupada says, selecting the authority under different circumstances. Arjuna had to hear from Drona, Dronacharya. Krishna had Yudhisthira preach Dandaveda to Yudhisthira, right? So, by keeping good association with devotees and by our Guru Prabhupada, then we can see. Okay, thank you all very much. So Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki jai. Hanumat Preshak Maharaj ki jai.